Hi, I want to make a video and it's going to be about the zero-sum game thing again. You have your health, anything like that. You start off in a certain default state. And I'm sure I've mentioned this before, and other people, it's very easy. Anything for that matter, you have it by default, and you have it only to lose it. So why have it to begin with? Like I mentioned before, if you're useless, they're useless. It's what's the point? If you're going to be useless, if you're going to have it to lose it, why have it to begin with so that you can lose it? Why not just not have it so you can't lose it? Why not just say, I'm not going to have it? But once you have it, you have it. So therefore, you have to, now you're forced to lose it now that you have it. Well, let's lose it early on so that I don't get attached to it. I mean, it boils down to time. Then how much can I prevent this from happening? Once it's happened, obviously we only have so much control over that situation. It's about preventing further harm, and there's only so much we can do or know to a certain extent, and that's where these contrivances come in. And there's only so much we can do. Once it's happened, we can only try to mitigate against it, deter against it from happening or getting any worse. So that's the only thing we can do, is try our best to prevent these horrible things from happening. So yeah. So it's about trying your best to make sure things can be mitigated as much as possible and prevented as much as possible. Once they've happened, it's about using that time that you have to prevent those further things from happening. So why have your health to begin with? Once you have the maximum amount of whatever you have by default, from your expectation and your knowledge, you only know from a certain extent that there's only more to lose than there is to gain. Once you have all your limbs, once you have your health, you have to get sick to be satisfied with your default stage again. And it's only there to lose once you have it. And if you start off that way, you're only there to lose it. Okay, you grow into an adult, but it's the same idea. You grow, of course, okay, I got hair on my chest, okay, it doesn't matter. You still got all your limbs, and generally speaking, the health and the feelings mean something. But once you feel good, you're setting yourself up to feel bad. I mentioned this before. Feeling good is a trap to feel bad. The more you feel good, it takes less for you to feel bad. Once you have the best car, it doesn't take much of a scratch for you to feel bad. But if you have the worst car, it doesn't matter how much of a scratch you have. But the better you have it, the more likely, the smaller the scratch is, it's going to take lesser of a scratch to make you notice the bad that's going to happen. Obviously, it doesn't mean it's going to be as low. So, the good right here, right here, and then it leads to a bad all the way down to here. But it's about the gap in the good and the bad. Obviously, the bad car, so this is the good car right here, and it gets a bad scratch, and it leads you down to here. And the bad car is kind of like right here, slightly above the scratch thing on the good car, and the good car's over here. And you get a scratch on it, and it goes like, oh, it's like right here instead. I mean, you get this much of a difference. It doesn't matter. You start off in a lower place because you're not all the way up here, but the difference means all the more. The jump in difference means more. The change is more significant. But generally speaking, the change overall means that you're still more over towards the negative side, even if you were starting off, say, in a lesser area, say with the worst car. So say the change, you start off really, oh, I got the best car, I'm happy, and it's a small scratch, and that change, and there's only more pain or less pain. That's what this idea, this thought experiment is predicated upon. It's either more pain. So the person getting a small scratch on their Ferrari is more significant than say the person. But then again, it depends on the person. That person can find that old Toyota more worth it than the person that has a Ferrari. But generally speaking, say the same person but different circumstances and different expectations than the person that gets the same scratch on their bad car, the bad car, the lesser car, or even the person getting in wrecking their hood on the lesser car. It takes more, and you're still not even to the point to where that person is dissatisfied or deprivated as the person that got a small little scratch on their vehicle. And it depends on your expectation, arbitrary standards. Obviously, you can obviously understand a car more wrecked or less wrecked. You got a little scrape against a car on the highway or whatever, or you crashed into someone. So I mean, that's a really good example. I like using that, like traffic, and it's a really good way of describing these things. Is traffic, waiting in lines, cars, or whatever it is, crashing into each other. Yeah, I don't know much about cars. I know that they crash though if you drive into another one. I know they have steering wheels, and they have, you have your gas pedal and your brake pedal, and you have clutch if you have a manual transmission. All those basic things. Yeah, that's besides the point. Um, It's generally speaking, even though it was right here, but that's really a contrived way of looking. And then, the good car, and then the scratch, and then he gets the scratch, and he's all the way down here. So he started off here with, oh, I'm so happy to have the car, then it gets scratched, and he's down here. Little minor scratch. And the person that has the car, the worst car, is like right here, but the difference is much lower. So it's about more pain or less pain. The person up here is feeling more pain. But then the person over here with the worst car gets a whole full wreck and his life is ruined, so the difference makes even more. So it's about the difference more than anything, because the difference is the only thing that really exists. It's not about you start off over here, because it's all about what makes you the individual person, what they find subjectively more satisfying, or what they subjectively like or whatever dislike. It doesn't matter where they start out from, because that person has their own dispositions, and there's either more pain for this person or less pain for this person. More pain or less pain is the only thing that exists. It's the only meter that exists. There's no, because he started off here, he can be in the same place as this person is over here. It just takes more. The circumstances are different. It's just since the circumstances are different that make the person, what makes the person experience value, either negative or positive, doesn't mean that the change is different. This person has a different certain lifestyle, and this person has a certain lifestyle, and whatever happens doesn't matter. It just matters how much it affects that person. It might take more for the person with the it might take more of a wreck for the person over here to experience the same pain it took for the person over here. But putting them on a scale like this person over here, with a good car, and then the bad person over here, it's about the difference. It's not about where they are here. It's about this. This doesn't mean anything. From here, 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 here. It's the change in the width. And it's about more pain or less pain. And that's really all that matters. It depends on the circumstance. It might take more for this person. It might take less for this person based on their emotions, physiology, how much they can tolerate, how much the threshold is. I mean, that's really all this is the threshold and the tolerance. This is the value. Is this. How much are you going up and down? Where's the relativity? Where's the good you started off with that makes it feel so bad, and the bad that makes it feel so good once you're relieved of it? That's where the value more exists, on this scale, where this is existing. So you're experiencing more pain over here, and it exists on a bigger scale. It's just this is moving around on the scale, and it's the contrivances are where it's jumping around, and the real thing is the value difference from where you started to where you end up. But to a certain extent, I guess I'm confusing myself, because it does matter, because it depends on where you started and where you ended on the big scale. So you can end up, you can be on a 5 out of 10 over here, and 5 to a 7, or 5 to a 7, and then you can go over to a 4 to a 3, 2 to a 5. But generally speaking, these are just silly contrivances. They exist on a bigger scale, but it's generally this. What's the relative position from which you've experienced the negative pain? And it usually, generally speaking, where this idea comes from is because it usually takes this to cause the negative, and it takes the negative to cause the relief from the positive. But it's generally speaking, where are you on this scale? Where on the scale? You mix these two ideas, I guess. You mix these two ideas and the moving up and down, and you just say, it's the scale. Where are you on the scale? Instead of doing this and doing this, you just say, screw that, just have a scale, and where are you on the scale? The relative way is where you started off. Usually that's a good way of describing how you got to where you are and why you're feeling, say, as bad as you are because of the circumstances that caused you to experience the negative sensation that caused you to feel something. The direct cause, the thing that happened that let you experience the negative that you're experiencing. Okay, so I guess that's enough. I don't want to go too long on this. So if you have it, why even have it? You have it to lose it. I got all my body parts, but I only have them to possibly lose them. So why even have it to begin with? And that generally just goes to why exist if there's only things to lose. That's all there is. There's only things to lose, so why exist at all? And that's the point. That's the point. Why exist if there's only things to lose? And that's life. But people don't look at it that way. They want to have kids to what? They want to do this to what? They want to because they want to satisfy their ambitions, because they want to have the perfect 20-kid household and the 20, more meat for all the kids, more animals to slave. And I want to be a breeder for a dog. I want to have 100 dogs. I want to have 25 kids. No, you're not going to have that. Sorry. If you do it, you're going to be shot in the head. No, you'll be put behind bars, or we'll cut off your genitals or something. We'll castrate you. We'll find some way to prevent it from happening. Because if you don't listen, we'll bribe you first. Yeah, we'll give you some money to prevent you from having some, carelessly procreating and causing all sorts of catastrophe and disaster. But if you don't listen to this, then we're gonna do this. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do this. That's gonna happen. So stay nice. Stay good. Don't be a naughty one. Don't be a bad one. Not naughty. Don't get off sexually on that stuff because that's stupid. But it's caused by sex. The stupidest decisions are usually caused by our silliest desires. Our silliest, most instinct desires are the things that cause our stupidest decisions. Most rash decisions. I want to have sex and have kids. Kids require sex. Sex is something very visceral and very something that we do by doing something that we find satisfying, our visceral instincts. And that causes us to procreate and do stupid stuff. Yeah, you have a kid, and just because you don't think it's stupid doesn't mean it's not stupid objectively, because it is. It's stupid. You don't need to do it. You just fell for it. You're an idiot. I'm sorry. But you cannot, just because you're stuck with that claim, it doesn't mean anything coming out of my mouth. Some people just want to reinforce that. I mean, really. You call them an idiot, therefore they feel like they have to compensate since they can no longer not be an idiot, since they can no longer take the fact that they had a kid. They just end up having more kids. They just jump on the bandwagon even more to compensate for it. So since they can no longer be on this extreme, they want to go on this extreme because you already called them an idiot for making the mistake. So instead of saying, okay, let's mitigate against it. Okay, I'm not going to be as good as you because you had no kids or whatever it is. I'm going to be worse and worse because I have to be on this extreme. I have to have the most kids now because once I had one kid, you called me an idiot, and I can't be on the no kids anymore. I'm going to have 100 kids. No, you'll be smart enough to realize that, okay, I just realized. It took this extra step for me to realize I don't have to make even more of a mistake. He called me an idiot, but that doesn't mean I have to reinforce what I'm saying even more. It just means that I can say, okay, stop. Think. Don't think of it negatively. Don't viscerally react and say, okay, I'm an idiot. Let's have 100 kids. Let's breed a dog. Yeah. Let's have a bunch of cats. Yeah, no. Don't do that. Don't carelessly have things viscerally happen. Sit there and think and say, well, I'm actually doing a good for mitigating. It actually took this lesson. Look, take it as a lesson. If you couldn't learn it before, take the mistake that you made as a lesson more than anything else. And say, it took this lesson for you to realize, and now I'm going to do with this lesson and make it sure things happen more right than they would have happened before. And that's the way you take it more than anything. Don't take it as, I'm an idiot, therefore let's overcompensate and just say, since I can no longer be no kid, I'm going to have 100 kids. Because this person said I can't be good anymore once I realized my mistake. Realize the mistake and say, I took this realization, now I realized it. And I'm not going to let determinism be an excuse for me making a horrible mistake over and over again. I'm going to learn from my mistake, not viscerally react. Take that piece of insight and use that to prevent further mistakes from happening. And really, that's all you got to do. I mean, that's a good. It takes that kind of thought process for you to come to that conclusion to begin with. It takes a thought process to lead to that conclusion, because like I said, something's going to happen a certain way regardless. It's better to go in with an idea that can convince people. It's my obligation to teach the idiots out there that can't think properly to think more properly. But then again, they're the ones that I have to rely on to get the information, and I have to find a good way. It's a relationship that requires some interaction and mutual work on both sides to get to some conclusion. So it takes both of effort on both of our parts to get the message across. It takes their open door, and it takes me knocking on the door, or whatever way you want to look at it. It takes me shoving down the thing. I mean, if that's the case, then it's not mutual. It's up to me. But if it takes me knocking on the door, and it takes them answering the door. Oh, okay, I get it now. But it takes an idea like this to preconceive, go through their head so that they can make a decision more rationally instead of it takes my responsibility to convince them. At least go and have a thought process snap into their brain, say, yes, I can think this through before I make a further mistake. And by overcompensating and saying, okay, I can't do this anymore. Let's overcompensate on the wrong side instead of just going to the right side, accepting my place. I'm at -1 now instead of a -100. Let's just accept that and not get any worse. I don't have to go to the extreme to feel like I'm on the extreme. I have to realize, okay, okay, maybe this is for the good, and maybe this could have happened. I don't know. I made a mistake. Generally speaking, from what I know about the circumstances now, we'll just say that's enough. I think, okay, I made one mistake once. Okay, okay. Let's take a step back, realize, okay, yes. Don't react to what he says, because maybe he's trying to teach me a lesson. Let's just say, okay, yes, I learned my lesson. I learned my lesson well, and therefore I'm going to take this as a piece of information, advice. It took this for me to learn it. I'm thinking about it now. Yes, I understand. I heard it, and then now I'm going to take that bit of advice and use it to prevent further mistakes from happening. Because you never know. It's about further prevention of further mistakes, and if you make that mistake once, it's going to help you prevent further mistakes from happening than say it would have happened if you didn't learn the lesson first or didn't learn the lesson immediately. Then it could have been worse. So just say, okay, this is going to be a good learning lesson, and I'm going to take that lesson into the future and prevent further things from happening. And the sooner you learn your lesson, the better. But then again, it doesn't necessarily take generally speaking, but it doesn't necessarily take no mistake um, to learn a lesson. Sometimes it takes a mistake, and the earlier you learn the mistake, it takes the mistake to begin with to learn on the lesson. So you have to at least make one mistake, and the earlier you make the mistake, that you generally speaking, the better. Generally speaking, not in all cases, but generally speaking, that's the case for almost all these circumstances, and generally speaking, for existence itself. So that's the circumstances of existence and how they can generally be learned, and how it's about learning generally. But 100 mistakes can lead to 1,000 corrections, while one mistake can lead to only 2 corrections. But then again, it's about the proportionality too. So if it's 1 in every 2 and it's 500 out of 1,000, then it's sort of proportional at that point. And to a general, you can understand, I guess, from what I'm saying. So if you have 1 and it corrected 2, then that's 50%. And if you have 100 that corrected 1,000, then that's better, and generally speaking. So we can only know so much, and that's the point. We can only have so much of a reasonable expectation we can expect in the future, and there's only so much we can do, and it ends at a certain point. It ends right here, and we just go. We move, and that's what's happening. It ends in this interaction. So anyway, pointing to the seat. That's all I want to say for right now. There's not much else to say on this subject, but if I have anything else to say, I'll mention it in further subject, and sorry for making the video so long again. So thank you, and if I have anything else to add, like I'll say again, redundancy, I'll mention in another video. So thank you, until next time, bye.